Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another special episode of Winning Picks Weekly, going through the NCAA football conferences. Last week, we did the Pac-12. Definitely go check out that episode. This week, doing the Big Ten ACC. As always, my name, John Meleka, co-host of Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. Catch us on YouTube. Like, subscribe. That's where you can find Winning Picks Weekly. Also, we're also on Twitter, Winning P Weekly. Subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, Alexa, Google, anywhere, Amazon, you name it, we are there. And as always, joined by my two boys, Greg. What up, Greg? Video producer of Knicks, Jets, Etc.
What's going on, John?
What up? And our boy, Chip Murphy, Chip Murphy 7, Knicks Fan TV, writer. The Knicks schedule just came out. Check out that episode. We're definitely hyped about that. What's up, Chip?
What's up, boys? Happy to be back on talking some college football.
Finally, it's that time of the year.
Yep.
I'm probably the two most exciting conferences, especially for some good old East Coast boys like us three. Where this is our bread and butter. This is where we're introduced into college football. We're going to get into the brunt of it, but just to recap the Pac-12 episode real quick. If you're following us on Twitter, you already know Chip Murphy 7, aka, is all over the Pac-12 memes already. He's ready to get into it. He's got the brunt of it is he's got USC on lock. Greg is holding down Utah, and I'm rolling with Oregon. We're kind of spread out here. I like Utah. I'm definitely off USC. I know Greg feels that way about USC as well. So we're definitely both against Chip over there. They're both against me about Oregon. And I think we're all okay with Utah, but Greg's definitely the highest on there. Definitely check out that episode.
It's rookie head coach, by the way, at Oregon. Rookie head coach.
You're speaking Greg's language there. Definitely check out that episode when we get into the NFL stuff. Greg's allergic to rookie head coaches.
Can't trust him.
But as we know, we got Bo Nix, baby. It's Bo Nix season. I'm rocking the Oregon colors right now, Pacific Northwest. Didn't even do that on purpose. But shout out to them. But let's start with the Big Ten, man. Let's start with the Big Ten overs, right? Let's talk value. Let's talk what you guys like. Keep it a little bit more organized than last episode because we're just super excited about college football here. So let's just start with the overs here. I mean, we know that our producer Raisi K, the Raisin man, definitely catch his music everywhere. He's the guy that keeps us rolling here. He's the celebrity associated with this, and he's the Ohio State kid. Right, undergrad in Ohio State, and I have to get at him all the time because we all know what happens when Ohio State quarterbacks go to the NFL. But this is Ohio State's time to shine, man. The Buckeyes, the regular season Buckeyes, they're the favorites, as they should be. The over is insane, though, so you're not here to hear about why you should take the Ohio State over. So I'm gonna chalk it up to Chip here. I know. That not valuable picks like a minus whatever on Ohio State over makes Chip want to throw up. So I know he's definitely not going there. Chip, what do you like on these overs for the Big Ten, man?
Yeah, the Ohio State over is basically, do you think they can run the table? Yeah, that's where you have to pick. And it's like, it's crazy to say a team's going to run the table. Like anything can happen. For sure, run the table. Like anything can happen during the college football season. CJ Stroud could get hurt, something like that. Like the bet,
Raisi, those are fighting words, bro.
No.
Cut you out there.
No. He's definitely not going to do that because I'm about to say what the right Ohio State bet is, and that's to bet the Buckeyes to win the national championship. Because you don't want to. I think Ohio State's the only other team that can win the national championship besides Alabama. And who the hell wants to bet Alabama to win the national championship? That's boring as shit to do that. Oh, come on, John.
Every other year.
I mean, I guess
it's like Ravens preseason football, man. You got to bet it.
I mean, yeah.
If you want to, ever going to be right now.
you want to put it in like a parlay as like a lock type of thing for sure, but you're not going to enjoy it when it happens. Yeah, you don't like having it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Alabama won and maybe I'll make some money off it, but it's plus 180, 175 everywhere anyway, which is why you have to put it in a parlay.
We're jumping a little ahead here, but Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State to win the national championship, that's a prop on FanDuel. That's minus 340. So I guess that's free money at the end of the day, just that you mentioned it.
Yeah. But I have Ohio State to win the national championship. It's plus 300. I believe that's on DraftKings. So that's, yeah. But the overs, as far as I think I'll stick to the Big Ten East for now. Who do I got? Michigan. The Michigan Wolverines over 9.5.
Minus 125.
Minus 120. Yes, I am, because it's. I know. DraftKings or Bleacher Report. Someone put out the tweet today. It's the most bet win total on the app. 77% have been on that.
Running the table.
I know. I know, but I look at their schedule. I don't see.
You don't play anyone till October.
Exactly. I see a easy non-conference schedule, and I see what are the losable games on here, right? Like, other than at Ohio State,
at Iowa
for sure is losable, but I don't know.
Nebraska.
Going to Nebraska. They know they play Nebraska at home.
Yeah.
I'll
say Michigan State.
They get Michigan State. No, I'll get to Michigan State later. And then they got Penn State at home. Covered. Yeah. They got Penn State at home too. I know they're losing Hutchinson. They're losing a lot on defense. They got how many starters back? They only got 3 starters back. Yeah. By the way, all these preview magazines, they say different number of starters.
Yeah. I guess you don't
so
really
annoying.
know until it starts.
Yeah. But they got a majority of the guys coming back on offense. And I like that they're doing the 2 quarterback system too, by the way. I like that Harbaugh's just not backing down from that. I like that he's going to play McCarthy and McNamara.
Listen, this is what me, a dummy, suggests that the Jets do for the last decade. Is to have a first half quarterback and a second half quarterback. And now Michigan's doing that for realsies this time. And you're betting minus 125. They don't lose 3 games, and one is an absolute guaranteed loss. So this is 2 games. Yeah.
The Ohio State,
Ohio State last
they're not
year
going
once.
to beat.
Sounds good.
Well, that's the thing about Michigan State was last year like a one-off. Michigan, sorry, not Michigan State, was last year like a one-off thing, or was that like the new normal? And I think Harbaugh is a great coach. Yeah, I think this is him.
Sounds good.
I think he's setting a tone here at Michigan. I think he's a guy who can win consistently 10 games every single year. And I think he's going to start doing that. He made the commit, like he flirted with the NFL, decided to come back. Like, this is what he wants to do. He wants to put his school into a dynasty now. And no, they're not Ohio State, clearly. But he said during Big Ten Media Day, he mentioned like beating Michigan State multiple times. Every question he was asked, he was like, the goal is to beat Michigan State. They're playing Michigan State at home. He's lost to him 2 years in a row. Michigan State fans use that all the time to talk about how great Mel Tucker is. I don't see them losing 3 years in a row to Michigan State, especially with the game at home. I know that's a quote unquote losable game. I don't see it.
If that's all they're thinking about, then they're going to lose to Penn State the week before.
No. I don't see that either. I don't know. No, that's no, especially because Michigan State is coming off of a bye. I think they're going to be so hyped coming into that game and so well coached.
Michigan.
Yep.
No, that's what I'm saying. Michigan is coming off of a bye.
Okay.
Oh, is Michigan State coming off of a bye too?
You said Michigan State. I don't know if they
are.
No,
I meant
they are actually.
They are.
Wisconsin on the 15th.
Oh well, whatever. Whatever. I don't care.
Still, they're really juiced up. I like that.
You know what? I'm really gonna hit back on you there, and I like the under 9.5 at plus 105. I'd rather take the plus money there, to be honest with you, and not pay the vig. And just because that's one loss guaranteed. Now we're talking about 2 games. We mentioned 2 games here, but it's Michigan, dude. Michigan loses the random games at 12 o'clock, where all of a sudden they score 3 points, and it's the fourth quarter. So I'm okay. They're starting 2 quarterbacks. Like, not only do they have 2 quarterbacks, they can't decide. They're playing both of them. Give me the under.
Who's their 3 losses? Besides Ohio State, who were their other 2 losses?
It's a tough call, right? But I'll give you Penn State, especially if you're going to take Michigan State. So we have to split those, right? And then they'll catch a random stray. I think they could lose to Nebraska. It's Michigan, dude. They do silly things all the time. Like, they just have bad games where we're gonna start talking about how, Harbaugh drinks milk all the time with his steak. Like, that happens every single year. But there's going to be momentum, right? I don't think it's going to be in the first half of the season. I think you're going to be looking pretty good the first half of the season. But it gets tougher as it goes on, man. Iowa, Penn State, Michigan State. They could fumble versus Indiana maybe if something goes crazy, or Nebraska, something crazy happens. I don't know. I'd rather take plus money on that. Michigan, and we're fading the public, dude.
Yeah, I know. The one thing that concerns me is, and when I was looking at the previews for all these teams, I looked at like changeover with staffs and players, new offensive coordinator and new defensive coordinator. 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 years for Harbaugh. And that Josh Gaddis kid who left was like really highly regarded, the offensive coordinator, and went to the U, gave him a ton of money. And so I don't love that new coordinators, but I don't know, man. I think Harbaugh's starting something really special there. And again, I like that they're playing Penn State and Michigan State at home. I just think
it's a good schedule.
Yeah, I think it's a good schedule. The out of conference is soft. And I don't know. Other than Ohio State, I don't see any other losses on that schedule. I think they could go 11-1. Maybe you said they drop like a weird one. Like, I don't know. Maybe they.
I wish maybe they go Hawaii. I wish it wasn't a home game. I wish they were at Hawaii, because that would 100% be my game.
They're not losing that one. Maybe they go to Iowa and they drop that one. But even so, they finished 10-2, and I think that'll probably be what it is.
If they lose to Iowa, I'm sitting pretty with this bet. What do you think, Greg?
I don't know. John, you and I were talking yesterday, the day before, about, you're like, oh, I think the Big Ten and the ACC might be the easiest conferences to pick. I was having a tough time in the Big Ten because I was having a tough time on Michigan.
Really tough time in the Big Ten. Yeah.
The conference winner?
No, just for the over-unders. Yeah.
Oh, I was just talking about the conference winner. For some reason, I have no problem betting Ohio State. There's nothing in my brain at all. I don't think they're going to fumble.
Yeah.
Even if Chip puts his hex on CJ Stroud, I still think they'd be fine.
I just picked them to win the national championship.
Yeah, I kind of like taking someone else just on the off chance that something happens with Ohio State and they're just flat this year. A ton of injuries. They're just not as good as projected, whatever it might be, especially because it's minus money for them to win. So I kind of like Michigan plus 600. I kind of like Wisconsin plus 1100, even though Wisconsin is just season after season a disappointment.
Oh, you taking Wisconsin to win the conference?
Yeah, I think that they're probably the best in their division, even though their division's a lot closer than it has been, 3 or 4 years ago. The teams in there are a little bit better.
This is tough.
But plus 1100, I think, is just great odds. If they put it together and they play their style of defense, which is winning games, 13-10, I think that they have a shot at doing it. They return 8 on defense, 6 on offense. This quarterback that they had is supposed to be amazing for 3 years now, Graham Mertz.
Oh, my God. He's so bad. Did they have people returning on the offensive line? They lost a bunch of guys.
Oh, wait, maybe I was reading.
I don't know if they have all those guys. So I think they lost a lot of O-line guys.
No, you're right. Sorry, they're not. I was looking at the wrong thing. They're not returning as many people. 5 on offense, 3 on defense.
Yeah, they lost a lot on defense.
Yeah, and they had a great defense last year. I think, John, we were looking at when the Jets draft was happening. There was like 2 or 3 linebackers from Wisconsin. I was like, I would love to take these guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just, like I said, a plus 1100 on an outside chance that they win their division. I think.
I mean, they're definitely going
'Cause
to lose
if
to
it's
Ohio
not-
State.
Yeah, sure.
They're definitely going to lose to Michigan State, or no?
I
Is
don't
that
know
not
about
definitely?
that. They're at Michigan State, which is tough, but I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
At Iowa, at Nebraska.
All the road games are tough. I agree
Even
with
at
that.
Northwestern's tough.
Northwestern really
Which is
stunk last
Northwestern.
year.
Northwestern's really plummeting. That program's
Yeah.
plummeting, man.
What's
Yes.
Wisconsin? What are we talking about? So Wisconsin's plummeting. They stink.
They
This
still
is one of my
got
favorite unders. I know we're kind of jumbling here, but I'm just so opposite on your picks, guys. So
I mean, I still have
I like the under on both of your
One or
I'm
two.
picking both of you guys.
They were
already.
9-4 last year, and their 4 losses were week 1 Penn State 10-16. I remember that game because I had Penn State. That was just defense galore.
Yes,
That was
yes,
an
yes.
unbelievable game. Then Notre Dame and Michigan, so those are the 3 losses. And then lost at Minnesota by 10 on the second last game of the season, as
Classic.
Wisconsin does.
classic Wisconsin loss.
Yeah,
They
so
were in a
that
shootout versus Nebraska. That was a crazy game. I remember that game. The
week before
I
that.
forgot when that was, but I remember it was towards the end. It was after Ohio State.
November
obviously.
20th. Yep. They were in a shootout against
Remember
Nebraska,
that.
but they still covered 9.5. Like they still won by 10
Yeah, I remember that game
or
actually.
13. So
Mertz
Yeah.
stinks, man. You have faith in him like that?
Paul Chris, you're saying, or just Wisconsin as a
Mertz.
whole? Oh, Mertz. No, I don't have faith in him like that. I have faith in the
Talk
defense.
about Bo Nix last week.
If there's ever a time for him to do it, though, it's now. This is it. So they gotta produce. And I was just saying that I like an outside shot as a conference winner. I'm not taking them as my over pick, but if I had to take an outside shot as a conference winner, I said I like Michigan or I like Wisconsin, just because I think those are the 2 other solid teams in the conference besides Ohio State, which is more than likely going to win it.
The easy
I
pick.
actually took Wisconsin under 8.5 plus 125 on DraftKings,
Yeah,
but I got
That's
him
not
going.
bad either.
I got him going 8-4.
what I
But
don't like though is that I went from 9 down to 8.5. Don't like that because when I have him at 9, so that's not great. Not loving that so much if you're shopping lines. But again, I like Ohio State minus 200 to win the conference, and you could parlay that. With your choice of the Pac-12, and depending on who you choose there and who you choose in the ACC, that could kind of sway your ways.
Let's stick with the overs though, because I have 2 that I like.
yeah, I got 2
And-
more too. So you go.
That's kind of, like I said, I had a tough time with this. One of them is Michigan, and you 2 just talked about it a lot. And I don't think I was swayed either way on whether I should take it or whether I shouldn't take it, because I see both of your points. I love betting against Michigan for the last 4 or 5 years
So
because
fun.
it's just everyone types them up, everyone talks them up,
to week.
everyone's so proud to be from Michigan, and they just lose. Jim Harbaugh loses, Michigan State loses, they're a loser program. And I love Chip being like, I think he's going to establish the program and be like a perennial winner. He's in his 8th season.
Yeah, I
He's been
know.
there a decade, dude. Like, that's tough. Now he's going to do it after he almost went to the NFL. So, like, that's where I have such a tough time with it, because I liked Michigan going into this because I agree with Chip looking at the schedule. Iowa's kind of a tough road game. Penn State, Michigan State. You need to win one of those games, and you have over 9.5, right? If you lose 2 and Ohio State, you lose 3 games. No, so you can only lose 2. So you
You
need
can
You
to
can only
lose.
lose 2.
You can only
can't
lose
3,
2,
but
which
it's
I
2
don't
plus
think they're
Ohio
going to
State.
lose.
So it's
I
just
don't
2.
Which
So you
They're
have to
not
win
gonna
2 of
lose
those
more than
games
one.
between Iowa, Penn State, Michigan. And then what kills me is, like, with Michigan, they're just such a classic team. They'll win all 3 of those games and they'll lose to Nebraska at home.
That's what
And
I'm
it's
saying.
what's going on? And it's just, oh, well, we have Ohio State in 2 weeks, so we started prepping for that.
well,
They
even
also
if they do, they're still 10-2.
Yeah. So I like Michigan over 9.5. I'm gonna stick with that just because I just think it's their schedule, and they have their the first 4 games of the season are such jokes. The only thing that scares me is that they're such jokes, they're gonna start getting the hype train going. Like nationally, people love to talk about him. And I'm so on the fence on that. So actually scrap that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with my other one. Because the other one, I just looked at Michigan's schedule. They play them their 4th game this season. I keep saying 4 games are so easy. I love Maryland this year. I love Maryland.
Go.
Give me Tua's little brother. Tua stinks. But Talia, whatever his name is, Tagovailoa, dude, he lights it up. And people talk about 11 interceptions last year. The big thing everyone knows at this point, if you're following this stuff, he threw 5 in one game. So he was pretty good the rest of the season, had one of the leading receivers in the nation. They bring in another in the transfer portal. They have a great offensive line. They're returning 9 on offense, including all the offensive linemen, 7 back on defense. Over under is 6. They had 7 wins last year, with losses at Ohio State, at Minnesota, Penn State, at Michigan State, who was good, at home against Michigan. So you look at their schedule this year. At Michigan State's tough. At Michigan's tough. At Wisconsin's tough. At Penn State is tough. Home against Rutgers is tough. Those are 5 losses. And you're allowed 6.
They could be Rutgers on senior day.
Did I say Rutgers? Yeah, Rutgers is a win.
You said Rutgers. You meant Ohio State.
I meant Ohio State. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say.
So again, the 5 losses that I see for them: at Michigan, Michigan State at home, at Wisconsin, at Penn State, home against Ohio State. And again, I don't know that they can't upset one of those schools. If Michigan State's having a down year, if Michigan gets caught sleeping, at Wisconsin's beatable, especially later in the season.
I think that's one of my favorite bets already. Just from if I can preseason bet this November 5th Wisconsin game, I think I would.
Yeah, that's what jumped out the page when you said, "Oh, they're gonna lose one randomly." I was like, "This Maryland team could throw the freaking football. They have a pretty good offense. Their defense again last year was not great, but they ended up firing their D coordinator in the middle of the year, towards the end of the year. Really, I think the new D coordinator took over with 2 games left, and what's the stat here? He held them to
over 5.5 right now.
30 points a game, I think.
Over 5.5 right now, live.
Over's 5.5. What's the juice on that?
Minus 135.
Yeah. So I don't hate that.
Are you willing to take 6.5? I don't think you can alternate wins here.
No, I don't think so either. But sorry, so the stat is that the D coordinator was giving up 30 points a game. They fired, and the new D coordinator came in. His last 2 games of the season gave up 16 points and 10 points. So kind of cut their defense giving up points, however you want to say it, in half.
Whoa.
Then they signed a new D coordinator this offseason, was there for a day, and then dipped to Miami, who we'll talk about later. And they said, "Hey, the guy that we promoted in the middle of the year, you got the D coordinator job." So I think he has a chip on his shoulder. I like the program. I think they play kind of in a weird spot for the Big Ten. Might be a little hot, might be a little humid at home, kind of more of a high-flying offense. I like this Talia guy. I mean, Tua was great. He's been good so far. I think it's going to be his senior year. So I think this is it for him.
Can I give you a fun stat
Sure.
Regarding FanDuel and Maryland? And one of the props that FanDuel has is for a regular season to win 10-plus games, which you can parlay. The worst odds. Literally the worst possible odds that you could take on a team to win 10-plus games, including like UTEP. We're talking like Louisville, Arizona State, Troy. Like we're talking everyone's in here. LSU. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, there's some bad schools. New Mexico State, maybe.
Washington State is in there. You know the worst odds plus 6,000 is Maryland.
Dude, they play some tough teams, but it's not a terrible pick. It's not terrible.
That's classic.
I mean, if that's the case, then you have to bet them to like.
You could parlay it, so you could have like teams that you really think are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Throw that into a real one, reuse the selection, and just toss in the plus 6,000 Maryland.
Just for a little juice on it.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen because they just have 2, like I said, 5 tough games. Then they have a couple other ones that may be toss-ups. SMU at home, they're pretty high scoring. Purdue could be tough.
Plus 6,000 almost Jet Super Bowl odds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's, I mean, it is. I guess it is Maryland Super Bowl odds, right?
Their schedule's really hard.
I know.
Really
We're just
hard.
playing around. We're just playing around.
Their conference schedule, like their Big Ten West teams are at Wisconsin and they get Purdue, right? Purdue at home too.
Yes.
And then, by the way, SMU's good.
Yeah, they
play
score.
SMU. Yeah.
But
Shout
so
out to
does
Colin
Maryland.
So does Maryland. Yeah. I don't know. You think how many games you think they can win?
I think 7. You only need 6.
They're 5.5. I saw
it's minus
5.5.
135 though.
Oh, I saw 6. Oh,
Or 6 is a
6
push.
is even. Even money probably at 6. I would take over 6.
Pass attempts per game, 14th in the nation last year. Passing yards per game, 15th in the nation. Completion percentage, 8th in the nation on offense. I mean, it was they're high moving, high scoring. They get it done. So the problem is when they play these really good teams, like when they played Ohio State last year, they scored 17. When they played Michigan last year, they scored 18. That's not going to get it done.
they were successful on 46.2% of their passes last year, which is 10th in efficiency in the nation. And their pass defense was one of the worst in the nation. So every single stat here is low. They were terrible on defense. If they could shore up their defense at all, they could win way more than they could win like 8 games. It looks like, but
it all comes down to
a tough schedule.
It all comes down to his D coordinator.
Yeah, I don't know. Where did he come from?
He was within the program. They promoted him within.
Right.
Brian Williams is his name. Don't know really anything about him, but I don't know what he was doing in the program beforehand. But they promoted him within. Got 2 games last year, like I said, and let up 16 points at 10 points. Granted, it was Rutgers and Virginia Tech. Wasn't really high flying offenses, but still, it's a huge improvement. So
yeah,
we'll see. That's my over though.
They need to turn things around. They haven't, because I'm just looking at it now. They haven't won more than 3 conference games since they started in the Big Ten. I mean, Maryland and Rutgers have just been struggling since they got in there.
Yeah.
All right, you have anything else for the over, Chip? Because I can't believe you guys have not talked about this team once, which I think is the value play.
Oh, I
think Chip's got 2 more. He said.
Go ahead.
I have 2 more. One of them I begrudgingly take because I hope they don't pull it off, but I know they will. Is Iowa over 7.5?
Hell yeah!
Yeah,
that's the elephant in the room here. They have the best 2 linebackers in the league.
Yeah, I don't have any analysis on it. I'm just like Iowa's,
they won
other
the Big
teams.
Ten West last year. How's that?
Everybody's talking about everybody else. Everybody's talking about Michigan State and Purdue and every Michigan and Ohio State. No one's talking about Iowa, and that's how they like it. And they'll just win 8 or 9 games, and everybody will be like, "How'd Iowa do that?" So 7.5 over Iowa. Take that, and they'll be boring, but they'll win 8 games, and they'll lose their bowl game because they'll play some fun team that'll kick their ass. Hopefully. Yeah. I'm not betting them to win the conference though. But my final over, and I got my Nebraska shirt on right here because I'm very high on Nebraska this year.
Oh no.
Tell us about Nebraska. Because I'm about to talk about Iowa for a little bit. So go ahead. Tell us about
you want to talk about Iowa? Go ahead.
I don't know. You showed your shirt and stuff. I just like Sam Laporta. I love him to death. He's the tight end for Iowa. He's my favorite. He might be my favorite player in college football this year. I guess Bo Nix, because of this podcast, has now become my favorite, one of my favorites. But that's the only reason. And the right tackle from Ohio State. I think his name is Dawan Jones. Also my favorite player. Like, I'm staring at him and I'm staring at Sam Laporta because I need one of those 2 players to become New York Jets. Right? I was staring at Sam Laporta when he said he was going back. I was really pissed off. Their whole offensive line's coming back as well. Like you said, they had a disappointing season besides Linderbaum at center. I think they're going to be fine. The only thing is the quarterback, right? Which hopefully that doesn't matter because they're just running all day. I just think their schedule is easy. That's my favorite over.
Their schedule is very easy. Yeah.
And when you talk about, like, Greg was like, yeah, conference, like, we want to take Wisconsin because of value play. I think Wisconsin doesn't stand a freaking chance. But Iowa, who are proven winners with everyone coming back, is even better odds. And that could be a little rematch for them. They're plus 2,000. That's my value play for conference. That's my favorite over. And honestly, this seems like such a typical Iowa wins games all year long, and people talk about how they don't play anyone because they're going to lose to Ohio State in the regular season, and they're going to be like, oh, if they win the conference, are they going to be in the playoffs? Are they going to overcome Ohio State? But they're going to split the games. Like this feels like a classic Iowa conversation. But I want to know why you're begrudgingly on Iowa. And then I'll even give you the alley-oop and why you love Nebraska at the same time. Like, what is happening there? Because, like, for me, they're opposite trajectories where Nebraska's kind of going down and Iowa's kind of going up.
What do you mean? Oh, because I said all I needed to say about Iowa. I just
okay, fine.
I think I don't love.
Why don't you like them though? Tell me. Talk me up the hopium cliff because I'm going to be betting them every week. So tell me right now.
No. I like them to win 8 games or maybe even more than that. Hopefully just like 8 games or something. But I don't like that. I like it because I don't like Iowa. I don't like Kirk Ferentz. I think
Michigan, right?
No, they're not better than Michigan.
Okay.
I don't like Kirk Ferentz. I don't like his nepotism in his program where he has his son as the offensive coordinator, even though his offense sucks. But let's be honest.
October 1st, bro.
October 1st. What game's October 1st?
Iowa at Michigan.
Iowa at Michigan.
Right? Or is that at home? Oh, no.
That's Michigan at Iowa, right?
Michigan
at Iowa.
It's Michigan That's the first tough game for Michigan.
Yeah, it is.
Tough. Right after the Terps.
Tough and that'll be slow and boring, and I will try and bore them to death like the Harden Rockets. That's what they'll try and do without the good players. Without the good players.
I see as the headline, Greg? Going into that game, Michigan loses to the Terps, and now they have the Iowa game. What's going to happen with Michigan?
Bounce back.
Stacey Patton is going to be furious if he ever sees this podcast.
I know.
He's a huge Michigan fan.
I know. I'm aware. Listen,
taking the over, Stacey.
Listen, they have a big fan base. But Greg, do you have any thoughts on Iowa before we let Chip go off on Nebraska?
No, I kind of like it. I mean, all those teams in that division.
It's your Utah take. Like, how can you like Utah and not like Iowa? Because I feel like they're kind of on the same trajectory here, where they won last year. They're bringing all their guys back.
They're not the same team though.
Utah's quarterback is 50. Cam Rising is 50 times better than
Iowa is just ugly football.
Yeah.
Ugly football. And they get lucky. I mean, I don't know if that's like a thing or not, but I feel like they just have a couple balls bounce their way sometimes.
Don't start with the lucky now.
The refs love Iowa.
I love the jerseys, don't get me wrong, but no.
You can't deny that the refs love Iowa. The refs love Iowa. That's a fact.
Yeah, to me, the Iowa is not like Utah at all. They're like Wisconsin. They're like the whole thing about like, I just had it here. You guys were saying that Iowa is like on the uptick or whatever, like Utah is.
They won last year. Yeah. Like, I don't understand why everyone's so down on them.
I don't think they go. I don't think Iowa goes up or down. I think they're on a straight like line for the past 15 to 20 years. I think they've been going the same way.
I agree with that too, especially last 5 years, they 10 wins, 6 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins, 8 wins. So I could see the over 7.5. It's like, okay, for the last 5 years, they've hit that. So
I think they're only losing 2 games max. That gives me a 3. Like if they lose Ohio State, that's easy, and they lose Michigan, easy. What other big games do they have? Like, what's tough?
Their last 4.
They always lose a game they're not supposed to. Didn't they? They lost to Purdue last year when they were ranked 2nd, right?
And they're at Purdue.
Yeah, they lost to Purdue. They lost to Wisconsin. Lost to Michigan. They lost to Kentucky last year.
Yeah, Kentucky was good last year.
Yeah, that's true. But still, last 4 games are scheduled. John at Purdue, home against Wisconsin, at Minnesota, home against Nebraska. Those are tough games in this division.
They would have to lose. They would have to lose all 4 of those, and the Michigan Ohio State for it to be the under, right? They need to lose all of them.
I still think they'll go over.
No, they need to lose 4 games.
Like John said, the ball tends to bounce their way every once in a while.
Okay, what's up? What's up?
I said I still think they'll win 8. I think the ball, like you said, the ball tends to bounce their way every once in a while. Like they just and they play better as the underdog. And I'm kind of like they're not the only team. Like there's a lot of teams that play better as the underdog. When you're sleeping on Iowa, that's when they win. Like when there's expectations around Iowa, they lose. That's always been there.
For the
100%.
record, I like CJ Stroud as the Heisman. But if at any point I ever see a number for Sam Laporta Heisman, I'm taking it. I don't care. I just love him that much. If I ever see the number somewhere, if it's at the plus 10,000.
Did you take Bo Nix?
What's the number? It has to be like
it's astronomical, I'm sure.
Is it astronomical?
Yeah, it has,
I don't know. I don't know, Chip. I live in New York, and Heisman
that's right.
a competition.
Well, so I can't bet on Rutgers.
It's all insane. It's all literally insane. But I'm sorry to cut you off. We've been waxing poetic here about this conference. End it with Iowa's last game, Iowa versus Nebraska. Talk to us about Nebraska, Chip.
Nebraska's going over 7.5 wins, which is -110. And to win the Big Ten West, which they're going to do, they are plus 360 on DraftKings. So take both of those. I love Nebraska this year. Greatest 3-9 win team of all time.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The running
Jets
joke
have something to say about that, but I feel you.
Yeah.
We have plenty of times to throw that in.
8 of their losses by a single score, and then you have the Ohio State game, which they lost 26-17, which was probably closer than that anyway. I like that they made the change with the offensive coordinator. They brought in Mark Whipple from Pittsburgh, whose Pittsburgh teams put up big numbers. Obviously, they had Pickett and Addison there. Yeah. I think he did a really good job at Pittsburgh, and I think he's going to be huge for them. And Frost handed over the offense to him. I don't know if he's crazy about doing that or not, but Whipple's going to be calling the plays for them. And the offense is changing. And probably more importantly than that, they got a new quarterback. Adrian Martinez was terrible there. And Casey Thompson transferred in from Texas, and he kind of got fucked over at Texas because, you know, they got Quinn Ewers there now, who's the number 1 recruit in the country. Arch Manning is coming in at some point. And Casey Thompson was good for them. Started the final 10 games of the season, completed 63.2% of his passes, 2,100 yards, and 24 touchdowns. He had 3 games with 5 or more touchdowns. Casey Thompson's a good player. So Nebraska finally has a quarterback. Adrian Martinez turned the ball over a lot. Like he was a turnover machine. And he cost them a lot of games. He was a playmaker, obviously, when he was on, but he just cost them too many games. And Nebraska's special teams, I think, is going to be a lot better this year.
Speaking my language.
Yeah, they were 122nd in the nation in starting field position on offense. 122nd in the nation. Yeah, they were literally one of the worst special teams. Like
you Albany could be on that list somewhere.
Yeah. They brought in Trey Palmer from LSU to return kicks and punts. And they were 124th in kick return yardage and 128th in punt return yardage. There's nowhere to go but up. I think Palmer's really good. I think he's going to improve them there from obviously a lot of people transferred out of LSU when Kelly got there. He's one of them. He's explosive, former 4-5-star recruit guy. He's good. I just like the additions that they made. I think their schedule is pretty soft. I like the opener against Northwestern. I think they'll win that one. North Dakota, Georgia Southern. I do think they can win against Oklahoma at home.
Really?
Rookie, I know. Venables.
Oklahoma winning the conference.
I'm not saying Oklahoma isn't going to win the conference. They may very well win the conference, but that's just one game. It's early in the season. Venables, I think, is a brilliant defensive coordinator. Some of the greatest defenses ever at Clemson. He's still a rookie head coach. They're going into Nebraska. It's going to be crazy stadium, crazy atmosphere. I feel like, I think Oklahoma is still the betting favorite to win the Big 12. but we're kind of
Yes.
ignoring how much they lost. Yeah. Like
I agree.
like just
I agree with
because, Oklahoma State did lose a lot too. And, we're kind of like counting Texas out, I guess, because Steve Sarkisian is the coach, maybe, and they are playing a freshman at quarterback. But no one's really talking about Oklahoma lost a Heisman candidate quarterback.
True.
They lost a lot of players. And
I mean,
I don't know. I think the Big 12 is a lot more up for grabs. We'll get to the Big 12. But
Texas
I don't think
just
Oklahoma
lost 2 players for injuries too.
Yeah, and they lost one of their offensive linemen, which key offensive lineman too.
Yeah, junior, I think it's Angelau or something like that, and the wide receiver Neor Isaiah.
Yeah,
Isaiah Neor.
I think he was a transfer, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, the Big 12 I think is a lot more open. We'll talk about the Big 12, I'm sure, but the Big 12 is going to be pretty more competitive than has been recently. Yeah,
You love Nebraska. I got you.
I do.
Week to week. You love Nebraska too?
Week to week for sure. I love Nebraska. I think I also like that there's so many people who are just down on them for sure. Like,
well, Scott Frost to me gets the Harbaugh treatment, where every year I feel like Nebraska's back. Every year I love to bet against them, and every year they deliver on being terrible. So that's the problem. Scott Frost, I just don't trust him. I don't know.
I get that.
8 wins is a tall order after coming off a 3-win season. I get that there were a lot of close games. The schedule looks doable, though. The schedule's not terrible. And they're bringing a lot of good people. So,
yeah, schedule's not terrible. I love the offensive coordinator hire. I think looking at, they don't get Ohio State, by the way. I also love that.
Yep.
They're at Michigan.
They get Oklahoma.
Yeah, they do get Oklahoma. Other than the game at Michigan, I think every other game on the schedule is winnable, to be honest with you. And I know people are going to be like, oh, they're playing Oklahoma. You're insane. They're at home. And I think that game, the spread will be closer than people think after they start out 3-0. So I don't know. And maybe Oklahoma stumbles a little bit, doesn't look so solid. I don't know. I think Michigan at Michigan, that's the only game where I'm like, they're probably not going to win that. At Iowa to end the season is going to be a tough one, that last game. But no, I definitely liked him to go over the 7.5 for sure, especially because that's fading the public. There's way more people betting the under there.
Yeah, you get 5 losses, and to your point, you only see 1 guaranteed really loss. So you still have 4 losses to play with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, that makes sense to me.
Greg, you have any other thoughts here on any overs, any unders you got going on in the Big Ten?
Overs? No, I just had what was it? Michigan and Maryland were the 2 that I had. And now let me pull up my under, because I don't know. I think this is one of the easiest bets of the season. And I'm hoping you guys can check me on DraftKings or FanDuel for the actual odds, because there's no way. This is either juice to hell or this is the easiest bet of my life. Indiana and the under. Under 4. Last year
Plus
they had
100.
It's plus 100. And it's plus, is it 4 or 3.5?
4.
I love it. Last year they had 2 wins. Program absolutely in shambles. 8th hardest schedule according to strength of schedule rater that I got here in the country. They need to win 4 games, and they're favorited against Idaho by minus 24.5. Other than that, they're either the underdogs or it's like a 2-point game. It's less than a field goal every single game. It's going to be tough. Their road schedule. Oh, no, sorry. No,
non-conference is Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati's tough. Nebraska is going to be tough. Ohio State, they're going to get murdered. Michigan State and Rutgers are all their road games. So Rutgers is the one that could be winnable for them. But even then, that might be tough. Middle of the season, October 22nd.
I feel like that's a Rutgers game they have to win.
Yeah.
Rutgers has to win.
Again, you have to get 5. You have to get 5 wins on the schedule. We just named their road games. Maybe they get
Rutgers is not an easy game either.
Right. So maybe they get 1 win there. Then their home games, Illinois at home to start the season. That's a terrible game. I'm betting the under in that game. So they could win that. Idaho, they're going to win that. So that's 3 possible
By
wins.
25 though.
Yeah.
Mm.
Western Kentucky, again, they could win that. And then
Western
other than
Kentucky's good.
that, yeah, I agree. I like Western Kentucky. But then again, the rest of their home games, Michigan, Maryland, Penn State, Purdue. I just don't see it this year. I mean, they were not good last year. Tom Allen, I kind of like Tom Allen as a guy, as a coach, just listen to him in interviews and stuff
Everyone
like that.
says he seems like the nicest guy ever, but that was just a fraud year. The year they had where they were like top 10 at one point.
And that was what, 2 years ago. Then last year they plummeted.
Yeah.
4 people back on offense, 7 people on defense.
He fired all the assistants, right? They brought on a bunch of new coaches. It reeks. It's like the we were talking about the Pac-12. It feels like the Colorado situation where all the assistants were gone and they had Arizona had the tough schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chip.
No, I was just going to say, I was looking at it too, and you talked me into it. I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to tell you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're utilizing the transfer portal like crazy. They're supposed to have a decent class coming in, but the schedule does not look good. There's a chance that they get 2 wins. Other than that, every game is going to be a scrap. 4 to me is just crazy. I thought it was going to be 3.5 or 3. So 4 is a push, and it's plus 100. You said so. It's like even money. That's my under pick. I love it.
That's too high.
I'm telling you as well, man.
That is too high. They were winless in the Big Ten last year. Like I don't get that one.
They were so bad. I don't know what they were against the spread. I could look that up, but they covered twice last year. So they were 2-10 against the spread as well.
All right, guys, we needed to get to the end of the Big Ten episode in order to finally come to an agreement. And that is on the under for Indiana. I think we all agree that Ohio State's going to win the conference, but the value just isn't there betting it.
Before we wrap it up, can I give one more under?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then, John, if you have
the
an
Big Ten
under
episode, yeah, we're going to have to split up the ACC. We talked about it at the top. We'll do the ACC in another episode because there's just too much to talk about. We're excited.
I was just going to say there's so much to talk about. We're East Coast guys. These are our conferences. Yeah, like we should have known this was going to happen. Yeah,
I guess I'm going to have to ask you about Rutgers at the end here, but go ahead.
Yeah, what was I going to say? Under Michigan State 7.5 is plus 110 on DraftKings. That's what I'm going with. I don't buy it from last year. I think they got a little lucky. There's no way they win double-digit games again. Yeah. I don't think we're putting enough stock into losing one of the best running backs in the country.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker was awesome last year.
And her
off to Seattle.
Yeah. Peyton Thorne is pretty good. They got a good quarterback. I think, look, they open up Western Michigan and Akron. Those 2 MAC teams they'll win. I think that game at Washington is going to be harder than people might think it is. Washington's going to be good, and they're on the road on the West Coast. I think that's very losable. They get Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Michigan, all 3 of those games. Michigan comes off a bye, but those 3 games in a row, I think is tough. Fortunately, they get Ohio State and Wisconsin at home, but they're on the road at Michigan. They finish at Penn State. That's 4 losable games there, I think, for sure. Greg, you were talking about Maryland earlier. They're on the road at Maryland. I think they could easily lose 5 games here. No, I'm not, even after what we saw last season, I'm not super confident in them. I feel like people jumped to conclusions about Tucker after, what'd they do? They won the Peach Bowl, against a backup quarterback or 3rd string quarterback from Pittsburgh. Like, I think we really jumped to conclusions about Michigan State, and I just don't think they're there yet. I know he's recruited pretty well, but I'd like to see it for more than 1 year before I'm like jumping on the bandwagon. And there's a reason, by the way, the win total 7.5 and not 8.5, because even Vegas is like, we don't think they're going to win 9. Other teams have the 8.5 win total that people are more confident in. Like Wisconsin is more consistent, so they have the 8.5 win total. people aren't really sold on Michigan State yet, I think, and
You're
not sold on them either?
Michigan State over Wisconsin all day long, dude. I think Wisconsin is going to be so damn bad. It's insane. I legitimately cannot believe that their over under is 9. I did not expect that at all. That's something I look at. I understand why it's minus 130 to be under 9, but that makes no sense to me. In terms of Michigan State, I really have no thoughts. That's the kind of team where I just have to see how they play year to year. I just got to see with Michigan State. Do you have any thoughts on them, Greg?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, looking at their schedule, it was definitely very favorable. You can go into the double-digit win thing, but if you look at it, they played 2 real teams all year, and it's Michigan. They won that, and they got absolutely smoked by Ohio State. Yeah, they won against Pitt at the end of the season, and Pitt had a pretty good year, so maybe they had 3 tough games, really. But I really don't like betting teams that lose their best player after the end of the season, especially in college. Like, running the ball is so important in college compared to the NFL. It's crazy. So you lose one of the nation's leading rushers. And then I don't like that betting on a team after your coach gets a 10-year, whatever it is, $100 million contract. That to me, that screams regression. And Vegas thinks so too. I mean, 7, like you guys are saying, 7.5 instead of 8.5, or even 9. You know, they're penciling in. Vegas is penciling in 4 or 5 losses here. So I don't think it's going to be very good. The problem is just looking at their schedule a little bit. I'll scroll back up to it. I just don't know how you're going to get. What do you need? You need 5 losses or 6 losses? You need 5 losses.
At least 5.
Yeah. I agree that like Washington, Maryland are both tough road games. Minnesota might be a tough home game, but you really only have on the books 1 guaranteed loss, and that's Ohio State at home. Other than that, every game that they could lose, they also could win. So
the Michigan game?
Yeah. I mean, they've done 2 years in a row. I don't think it's likely that it's going to happen. I wonder what the spread was in that game last year. They were favored. No, they were underdogs, 4.5 point underdogs. So this year they're 8.5 point underdogs. So projected. So it's a 4 or 5 point swing. So I don't know. You know, I think they definitely could win all those games and have 10 wins. I just don't think it's very likely to do it back-to-back years when you lose your best player. Like if your best player's back and he's your quarterback, okay, great. But their best running back by far was their running back and their running attack last year. They only bring back 5 on offense, including the quarterback. So 4 players. It's just not enough. And I just, like I said, I like Mel Tucker. Don't get me wrong. Like I think he might be good in the long run. But the year after you get a 10-year contract, I just don't think you're going to live up to expectations. Could be totally wrong about this, but I don't hate the pick just because I just don't think it's going to happen back-to-back years. The Big Ten's weird like that. I don't think there's any team that's really good year in and year out besides Ohio State. Shout out Raisi.
On the opposite side of that, I have to end it here with Rutgers.
Yeah,
because we did make note at some point. I don't know. We do so many podcasts, so many episodes. Again, shout out to you guys if you're still here listening. Subscribe to our YouTube for Knicks, Jets, etc.
Comment, let us know what you guys like for the overs and unders.
Apple, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, everything mixed up together. Just follow us there. We gave a shout out to Rutgers because lucky them. Like this conference is getting bigger and better, and they somehow snuck in because right now, if they tried to get in, nobody would ever let Rutgers even smell this conference. So shout out to them for getting in there. But unfortunately for them, man, I know we talked about Indiana a little bit, and it's 4, but I know that you can't bet it, Chip. But the under for the Rutgers is minus 110 at 4. And besides Wagner, maybe, shout out Staten Island, besides the Wagner game, where are the wins? Like, are they beating Indiana, Maryland?
Temple.
That's it. Like, they
Boston College. The they can win the opener. Boston College.
They're going to be BC?
Boston College is so overrated. Why are people so high on Boston College right now? I don't
I
want
don't
to
know.
blow my ACC takes for when we do that episode on Boston College, but people are way too high on them, in my
I
opinion.
feel like they are every year. It's another program that I think gets a lot of love, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
But we'll say that for the other episode.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you though, John. It hurts because Rutgers, at least when I was in high school and college, I mean,
It's a local squad, but they lost Bo Melton, right? Like they always lose. Once they lose their number one guy, like they don't have any wide receivers or offensive linemen. Just got hurt. I mean, shout out
Yeah.
to Greg Schiano, right? We're talking about when we were in college. How are you
Yeah.
gonna say Ray Rice, Schiano? Everything's great, right?
yeah, before he was a bad guy, he was awesome. I went to one of the games. That was one of the first college games I went to. Then I used to go to Army games every year. But
He's
yeah,
a great recruiter. He's a great. Things are look. They're not there yet. Yeah, things are. Look, don't compare him to Indiana yet, because things are going in the right direction at Rutgers. Indiana is cratering towards the bottom, and Schiano can recruit. He's going to get good players in Jersey. Unlike the prior head coaches, he has connections in Jersey with the high school coaches. He'll be able to get guys to come in. He'll be able to get transfers. He's going to do a good job. They'll be good. I think they'll be competitive in the Big Ten. They're never going to win the Big Ten, obviously, but I think at some point they'll be
Are
a
they gonna
consistent.
win 5 games?
This year, I would not bet them to win 5 games. I think they're going to start Wimsatt at quarterback, and he's a sophomore. He's, I hope he ends up being really good, but I don't know. I mean, their
They got
schedule.
no receivers. They got no offensive line. They
Well,
got to
they
run
brought
the table. But between all those teams that we mentioned,
Well, I think
right?
they're high on
BC,
Taj
Wagner,
Harris
Temple.
from Cuse, who played well there, but I don't know. He's coming to the Big Ten. It's different, I guess, but I think he's pretty good. He'll be their top receiver, I assume.
So this is a fun one because after for the first 3 weeks, that's really where the over under is,
yeah.
right? If they if they don't win versus BC, Wagner, and Temple, at least 2 of those 3, it's over.
Yeah, you'll know by October 1st if this is a winner or a loser. And even if they win 2 of those 3, you're still fighting for a push. You're not
I
even
think they
fighting for a
kinda-
win. You have
I
to win all 3.
I kind of think they need to go 3-0 to start the season for you to win.
This is
That,
the easiest under. I've been talking. This is the easiest.
I'm with
bet,
you.
really.
You convinced me on this one too, John. I like Rutgers. Greg Schiano is what I love. People say a lot about bad programs in college football. He's building something. He's not there yet, just like Chip and Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. He's building something. Like they'll get there.
I never said
eventually.
Harbaugh was building something.
Oh, okay. He's establishing something in Michigan. He built it. Now he's establishing it. Greg, he's
He
still
went to the
building
college
it.
football playoff last year. Come
Yeah.
on.
I just want to see it twice, Chip. That's all I want to see. That's why
I want to see it twice too.
That's
And
why
I'm not saying he's going to go there again. I'm saying he's going to win 10 games. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier than going to the college football playoff.
No,
and I think
100%.
If he had a tougher schedule, I may be more hesitant to do it. But we were just talking about his schedule. It's like, who's he got? He's got Colorado State, Hawaii, and the dude plays UConn. Come on, he scheduled UConn. Got to give him some. You got to go over on the UConn scheduling. Everybody goes over when they play UConn.
True. And
Listen,
yeah,
man.
John, just to
Staten
finish this
Island,
up.
Wagner Athletics, baby. They're gonna beat Rutgers week 2 for their home opener.
They are not.
I will
They are
die
not.
laughing.
They're
I will
not. They're
die
not.
laughing.
They're not.
They might cover the 50 points they're going to be getting, but they're not going to win.
Look, Wagner's going to Navy this year too. They're getting on the map.
I like Navy this year. That's another little sleeper pick for our final episode.
They'll take them versus Wagner. That I'm telling you right now. But go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I'm just telling you on this. Under 4, I like that. What's the juice on it? Is it even money minus 110?
Minus 110.
Sign me up.
All right, I think that wraps up our episode. We love this conference. It's fun. It's a fun one. I got CJ Stroud winning the Heisman, just for the record here, but I can't bet it. I got the under for you though, Chip. You could bet the Heisman. I'll bet the under. I will call it even there. But that's about
Love
it. You guys have any final thoughts here?
No, great episode. I love the Big Ten. I love that style of football. I love all college football. I'm just happy it's back.
Purdue under too.
So right now,
Purdue.
The Boilermakers, you're throwing
Purdue
them in
under.
right at
That's
the
my
end?
final thought.
All right.
Throwing that in there.
As we speak, just for some fun here, if you're following with us, I got Ohio State in the playoff. And I guess I got Oregon, right? I don't want it, but I guess I got it, right? Like based on the last 2 episodes, like I don't want it, but we've talked me into taking it. So those are my after the first 2 episodes. Those are my 2.
So that leaves 2 spots.
I assume
Bama and Georgia.
We'll see about them. We'll see about them Bulldogs. We'll see about them Bulldogs. Any other final thoughts?
No, get us out of here. Wrap us up. Let everyone know where they can find us over at YouTube,
Mr.
Apple,
Producer.
Spotify, anywhere this podcast, Winning Picks Weekly, is available to listen to. Take on the go with you. YouTube, we're available under Knicks, Jets, etc. We're one of the
Nobody
channels
writes
over
it
there.
out. Don't be crazy.
Yeah, no one spells it out. Don't be crazy. We're over there as one of the channels, one of the playlists over there. So you can listen to us. You can listen to John, Alex, when they talk about the Jets, when they talk about the Knicks. They just recorded a great episode talking about breaking down the schedule, did an hour on that. Really good topics, really good talk. Chip helped us out last week, did another episode with him. So you can find us over there anytime. Like, subscribe, comment. Comments and likes is how YouTube knows people are watching and interacting. Then they'll bump us so more people will follow us. We did pretty good on the Pac-12 episode last week. So college football's back. People love it. Let us know what you're taking. Is Michigan going to go over? Is Ohio State going to run the table? Is Rutgers going to win 5 games? We need to know. We need to know. Money is on the line. We need to know.
How do we feel about Iowa?
Yeah, you got to let us
conference.
know.
Talk about value play, bro.
How do you feel about Nebraska? What do you think of Nebraska?
You're going to have to fight Chip about Nebraska. So let us know. We love you.
ACC next episode.
ACC next episode. Let's go football. Football's back.